Alrighty, just had this splitfire come into the shop. Honda gx160. Carb problems. It's bogging down when he goes to split, so I'll start with the carburetor and the fuel, and probably take this off, stick it in the deep fryer over there. Fixes 90% of problems with small engines. And we'll see how it runs after that. Alright, let's get started on this sucker. Air cleaner off. Check your air filter out. Yeah, this one's looking pretty gross. Yeah, it's tight, and I hear you scratching, buddy. Yeah, definitely looks pretty broken down. So it could be sucking some stuff into the carb from that. And we got 3 10 mils, one here, 2 there. Oh, and one on the bottom of the carb bowl. We should hit that, drain the carb bowl before it goes everywhere. Here. Oh, and shutting your fuel off before you get started. Gooder idea. Another thing that can cause these to bog a little is if the gas gets where the carb meets the motor. Stuff like that will cause a vacuum leak. There's a hose right here attached to this plastic guy. And then take your fuel line off. And there's no shut off on these suckers other than right here. So you got to get a fuel line clamp, shut that down. See a lot of guys with really nice forcep setups. I gotta get some of those, but these were, I don't know, $5 or something on Amazon. Go on, get. There. Fuel line clamp. Pop the fuel line off. Just, you know, pop it off. Just pop. Just. Oh. Why are they always like this? Go on and get. Alright, so once this is straight, this guy lifts up and out. Spring. also up and out. Fuel line ever decides to let go. Alrighty. That a little drain out. Tighten, quiet. No security risk, bud. Let go, little bowl gasket. Oh, can't really see much with your eyeball through there. So that jet could be clogged, but we'll move over to the carb cleaning bench and check and see. Alrighty, so what you're looking for here, you want to tear it down, pull this slide out, drop out your float, don't lose your needle. Check out the tip of it, make sure you don't have anything that looks damaged or bunged up. That one looks pretty good, because if that don't seal, it'll flood. That was not the issue with this machine though, so I'm not too focused on that. This one was just bogging and carrying on. The flathead gets this brass jet out of there. I said be careful of those things. If they sometimes if you force them, you strip them, you get into all kinds of bad news. They're not too hard to strip. Hey, get over here. Yeah. There's also an emulsion tube in there. You see all them holes, they can all get clogged up. So check that sucker out, look through it into the light. Make sure you can see the light of day. Which, this guy is very minimal. So you get one of these fancy little carb cleaning files, like, I don't know, $7-10 on Amazon. Start with your little guys, work your way up. That's the one. She's tight. You don't want to force anything too big into the hole. You know, bad things happen when you do that. Now, when I don't get too crazy with these things, I'll usually spray them down with a little bit of brake clean, blow through them, and so on. But since I have the cheater tool, this friend here, I just lightly seat these back in and I run them through that with the jets in it. It'll help melt any garbage that's in those jets out. So this guy here, your idle screw, he backs out. It's plastic, so be careful with it, because China, that's why. This guy is just in there on a rubber O-ring. Don't stab yourself now. And you can see there's a hole straight through there. It's good and open, but I'll leave that out when I clean the carb and run it through the deep fryer, just so that any gunk that's in there can rinse its way out. This thing ain't up to temp yet, but it will still vibrate and get the job done. I'm not going to turn that on. I'll spare you the noise, because it's a horrible thing. You don't want to listen to it. Alright, now as this sucker's coming out of the deep fryer, you can see there's a little bit of gunk still there. But for the most part, it's getting cleaned up quick. So you want to steal a toothbrush. So I think this is one of my daughters, maybe. Really, you can just run this deep fryer longer. It will melt all that crap out of there eventually, but this makes it pretty quick and painless. Put that back up in the bathroom for the girls for later. Slam this in. For another round. No, I'm not going to turn it on until I shut you off. Now, while you're at it, I pulled the plug, cut a little bit off of the spark plug wire. It's a way to ensure that there's got good, fresh connectivity in there. I pulled the dipstick and it started pissing out black oil that smells like fuel. So that's usually a sign that the float was sticking and it was flooding. So we'll change on that oil too. Put some fresh stuff in, salad dressing or barbecue sauce or pea, whatever you got around. You basically run these Hondas on whatever you got. Alright, this sucker here is another 10 mil. Ooh, don't lose your crush washer. Because you always reuse it. Not great looking stuff. If you want a fun tip, if your oil is going everywhere, pop a screwdriver on there. It'll run off the screwdriver. If the rest of the oil hadn't already gone everywhere, it'll choose that path and head right off of there. Alright, this sucker's probably just about ready to come out of there. Tricked ya. You thought I wasn't gonna make you listen to it. Alright, that's enough fooling around. I did spare you using the airline, blowing this all off, because it just whistles and howls and does all kinds of funky stuff. Alright, so you go back in, check your jets. I already pulled these out. They look great. You tighten them down. This guy. Go back there. And your idle screw. Don't break it. Chinese plastic. It's fragile. You can see where this sets your idle. And then this guy, you float. The needle goes into the seat. Take the little mini pole here, back through it goes. You grab your bowl, go over here, grab your bowl. Now the orientation of this guy is wherever, say, the front of your machine is. You want to clock that towards you so that you can see it when it's installed on the machine, in case you have to drain your bowl. That's usually where you start if something ain't running right. Try draining your bowl. Make sure there's no crap in it, you know, water or whatever, bad gas, because it's all bad gas. Crank these guys back down. Wait a minute. Why didn't you guys tell me that was sitting right there? Okay, so you start over because your helpers don't want to talk much. Put your bowl gasket in. Which can be a pain when they get a little dried up like this. Get her all tucked in there. Alright, that's all our parts until we, figure out what we lost on the floor. Go back over here. Still just letting that oil all drain out. Make sure all the old junk's out of it, and then I'll rinse through it with a bit of new oil to push all the older crap out. Yeah, looks good. Nice and clean. Good job. Well, I didn't realize that my phone had stopped recording, but it did. So here we are with the other phone. So putting it back on, you just put your throttle rod back on, throttle spring. It's a little spacer, my bobber. Choke handle sits on here. And that little tab just goes in there. Close, open. back on. I said, there we go. All right. Two 10 mil nuts. 10 mil bolt goes in the top here. But we can't test it until tomorrow because when I dropped that oil, I didn't go and look. I now realize that I'm out of oil in the shop, so I gotta wait and go pick some up tomorrow because I live in a small town and it is already 10 to 5. I ain't rushing to get the crappy tire. Alright, so now that we've thrown it all back together, I ran out and grabbed some oil this morning. You just top it up right here till it's basically level with the mouth, with the opening. Fuel's on, choke's on. Throttle's about halfway. See if we got the stutter out, and if not, it's obviously not the carburetor. We dig into spark. Fire open the door, put it on the four-wheeler, and I'll drag it out and, you know, split some of my own wood to test drive it. Why not?